Okay, we're going to try this again. And we're going to cross our fingers this time, okay?
Yes.
So we're just going to go ahead and kick it off so that we can get
here.
technical difficulties like a mug. I'm telling you here.
It's okay. We got to go through difficulties to get on the other side.
Sometimes you do. Do you know what I mean? That's a great point to start out with. This is Between the Sheets with Leah, and I am a action-taking, money-making. I am a photographer. I'm a mother. I am a business woman. I am a wife.
Yes.
I am a manifesting queen.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Yes, ma'am.
we are here.
here.
We are rolling. And this is my co-host.
Hi, guys. It's WHITNEY, period.
That's no. You got to do that again. That was not, no. Where's the energy at?
WHITNEY, period, poos. Welcome back. For the third time, welcome
She was like,
I know, right? We got it on the first time. That's why. So you understand that this has been a little bit of a morning.
It's okay.
We're doing 2 podcasts in one day, and we're learning as we go here. Like, we're like, hey, let's just bang them all out, and then we can have them back to back. And I'm like, maybe that's not a good idea.
No, I think it is. We just got to get the kinks out. That's all.
And we have some lovely guests
Yes,
here
we do.
that we're very excited to kind of
Very excited.
delve into. So introduce yourselves.
And we have to say something after they introduce, too.
Yes.
'Cause it's a big moment.
Yeah. Yes. Introduce yourselves, guys.
No.
I am Erica.
That's it.
That's it.
I don't want to go too deep into it. Not yet.
I was waiting for this to be more. I'm like, oh, my turn. Got it. My name is Naila, or I go by Nye. It's a pretty hard name to
I just say
pronounce.
Nye now because at first I was like Nyla, Nylila, la la la, Nye. And so I think right off the gate I was like, "Do you ever go by Nye?" She was like, "Yeah." I was like, "All right, cool. Then you're Nye."
There you go.
Short and
No,
simple.
but this is the first time we have had actual clients on the show.
Yes,
That's huge for us.
it's yes. I mean, I've had some friends of
Do we need to turn this back on?
that. Yes, please. Just be sure that that would be great. But how do I hear them through there?
I don't know. I just want to
Let me
make
hear
sure.
again really quick. You guys.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
us.
You guys can hear me?
I can hear you. Can you
Okay.
not hear you?
No.
Okay.
She's like,
Hello?
Yeah.
No?
I can hear you.
Okay, that's all that matters.
I just don't know why you can't hear yourself.
No,
What
you're
are
good.
You on 3. Anything better now?
Yes, that's much better.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right. Well, just another brief paused moment here.
Just want to make sure before we got going.
So yes, we've had a few people on, but and they, friends have done shoots with me, but not actual clients. So welcome.
oh yeah.
Thank you.
And we really are very excited about this podcast because, as you know, I got to know Eric. So we'll give the backstory just a little bit, okay?
Yes.
Here, first and foremost, Erica came to see me at my old studio
Yes.
to do a shoot with
Yep.
me, and we just fell in love with her personality.
Yep.
And at the time, sorry, Nye, but at the time she was doing something for her ex, then ex. Which I'll tell you guys the truth. When you guys first came in, I didn't get to hear the back end story, and so I thought this was just number 2 that you were doing, but doing it together.
Right.
So I was like, oh, okay, so this is who you gave it to. She was like, no. Whitney was like, no, let me give you the background real quick. I'm like, shit. Okay, got it now, caught up. But she did a session with me, and she was doing it for. You weren't married though. No. Okay, so this was for her girlfriend at that time. And so she came back to see me with her new girlfriend, but they wanted to do a couple shoot. And so we do couple shoots. And the funny thing about that, I'm just going to go off on a little side soapbox here just for a second, because what I learned while we were away at this little convention is that I'm shooting erotica.
You are.
And I didn't know that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But and let me, I'm going to actually write a whole blog about boudoir versus erotica, because erotica is basically the the implied idea of sex. Mm-hmm. And the moment that you take pictures that are implying sex, there's an actual federal form.
Yes.
That needs to be filled out. So you guys, afterwards, I'm going to need your signature.
Okay. We gave consent long time ago.
Yes. No, and it's really just about 2 consenting adults that, and it's not that we got deeper than that, but there actually are photographers that do a step further.
Beyond that.
Beyond that, and a lot of these people are out in Vegas and things like that, but
OnlyFans.
I mean, I guess it's a couple of different reasons. I've been hit up for things like that before, but so there's a difference between erotica and boudoir, and I learned a lot. Hey, I love continuing education. I love never being the expert in anything that I do, and always being a beginner, and just taking that knowledge and applying it and saying, okay, that was, I guess I need to fill out a form.
I was in class thinking to myself, yeah, that was erotica.
Yeah, and so then I started going, like, I'm sitting there and I'm going through my photos inside of my phone, and she's looking at them. She's like, mm-hmm. And I'm like, this one? She's like, mm-hmm. I'm like, shoot, okay.
There's implied behavior in that picture.
Yeah. Yes. So anyways, so they came to do, and it was actually an erotica shoot. So that's what I can actually say that it is.
Yes. Yep.
Based on whoever's definition.
Right. But that's big too.
Yes. And so first and foremost, we were super excited to have a couple.
Yes.
We've done more and more couples, but we were excited to have a lesbian couple inside of the suite. We thought that it was very important for me and my brand to, people will call and say, do you do this? And I'm like, yes, of course I do this. I shoot all couples.
Yes.
That's just the name of the game, is I photograph all couples, no matter what, like whoever is, I think because we do a podcast, and because people know me, some people know me on a personal level, that I'm Christian, they assume that I'm just going to be like, nope, sorry, I'm not going to see you.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And I always say, I'm a different kind of Christian, people. Yes. I'm the kind of Christian that believes that, God wasn't looking at all of these things and making all these rules and regulations, that people did that. So I'm going to I get beat up all the time by the Christian community. I get beat up before what I say, because I'm not trying to lead anybody astray, but all I know is in my heart of hearts, what I believe, who I love, what I see. Love is love. And I believe that the very first and foremost thing that I'll just say is that,
oh my God.
I'm just going to continue this thought because this is recording. Yeah. But what I am going to say first and foremost is that when God made the earth, it says that the Spirit hovered above the water. And then we furthermore understand that God made us in his image, which was spirit first. So we automatically assume that God made us in his image, which was flesh. And that's not true. It was spirit, and spirit knows no gender. Boundaries. It's no gender, and so, and then, you take it back and the people will say, well, they said this and this in the Old Testament. Well, in the New Testament, when Jesus came, he said, I see them neither Jew nor Gentile, neither female nor male.
Yes.
And for me, that was a huge statement when Jesus said that. It was huge. Yeah. Saying, look, I don't see them like that. You see them like that, but I don't see them like that. And so, big thing. So that for me, I photograph everybody.
Well, and I loved that, especially coming in and meeting you and starting to work with you for the first time. You created a safe space from the start.
Yeah.
From the start. Yes. And it was important.
Safe space in general was always where I wanted to create the space that any individual could come in there and they could pour out and they could be poured in.
Yes.
And feel that love and feel that, I don't want people to think that I'm different because of what I say. I want people to understand in who I am because of what I do.
Yes.
Because of my actions. 100%. Yes. So
yeah.
Oh, and then same with that. Even when I first came in, what was that? 2 years ago?
Yeah, yeah.
I cannot believe it's been 2 years.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
but just sitting down and even with talking to Whitney, because it's a thing in the community where we refer to our partners as our partner instead of putting a label on it, a gender on it, so that we don't get the negativity.
Yes.
And even just talking with Whitney. When I said my partner, she instantly knew what I meant. And then we started talking about, her relationship and her background versus my background. And it was just a very welcoming thing. Yes. And I didn't feel, uncomfortable. My best friend was there. Yes. So, she was there as well. But I didn't know your background religiously. Yeah. But even still, when you walked in, it was all smiles, just all love from the beginning. And then now 2 years later, bringing my partner, my girlfriend on, it was still love. It was nothing different, nothing, no side eyeing, no nothing. So, I thank you, for that, Leah and Whitney.
I love that. I'm not crying this early.
Hold on. No, I'm so glad, because it is what I found my business on is being comfortable, because there's some real deal conversation. There's some real deal things that happen in that space. And it's super important that clients feel that way, that they can be who they are with no judgment whatsoever. Because that's another thing that I don't believe. I do not believe that we were called to judge. And when you take that seat, that's a heavy, heavy seat to take, and you better be ready for the responsibility with that. And it's not one that I want to take ever. It's like, to each his own. I'm not going to tell you that, I'm just going to say, hey, I love Jesus. I believe he loves you. That's the deal. Like, I'm sorry, but that's it for me. Like, what you got to work out in between, that's on you. You know what I mean? Because I got as many skeletons in my closet, next to the murderers and the adulterers and the liars. And I mean, a sin is a sin is a sin. A sin is a sin is a sin. And at the same day, it's like, how do we even know that it wasn't people that labeled some of these sins sin?
Exactly.
So that's a different, we're going off a little bit on a different tangent, but just so, people understand and people know that, that's my stance, and I'm proud of it, and I'm proud to take it, and I'm proud to say it, just freely. So, so we had them in the suite, and we did a very sexy shoot.
Yes, it was amazing.
Energy was off the hook. We had another couple, no, it wasn't a couple, but it was, friends that were in there, and they were floored, just looking like, oh my gosh, like this is Kevin, and she was like this, almost like
she was getting, let me be quiet. She was special.
She was peeking through the door too. We saw her peeking through the door.
I was doing the other lady's makeup.
She's like,
she was whispering to me. She's like, you see this? I'm like, I'm just gonna work. Just gonna ignore this.
So I want to give you guys a few seconds. I'm gonna check on this camera really quick, but for this time being, kind of give me the background. Okay, while I'm getting up, I want you guys to talk. But give me the background of how you met, because I've heard it, but I want our listeners to hear it first and foremost, and then we'll kind of dive in a little bit more.
Yes.
Go ahead. Whoever wants to start.
This one?
Oh my God.
I love the validation back and forth to each other. Like, you gonna tell your version, you gonna let me tell mine.
There's always two sides, right?
Yes, and there's a middle.
Always
two sides.
Okay, so first and foremost, I'm in the military. I'm in the Air Force. So a good friend of mine that is also in the military, her birthday weekend was approaching, and she had asked me, like, while we were at work, like, hey, so a friend of mine wants to get your number. She wants to coordinate with all my friends to put something together for my birthday. In the back of my mind, I'm sitting here thinking,
what's really
why?
good?
Yeah, like, why do you want my numbers?
Right.
Like, she's already telling me.
Give me the address.
She's already telling me, like, oh, we're gonna have a game night. Yada yada yada, whatever, drink some. So I'm like, okay, so if we're already doing this, then why does she want my number for something? So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, something else is behind the story. So she gives me her number. She's like, okay, I gave her your number, and then out of nowhere, she's like, oh yeah, and by the way, my friend's gay, and she's like your age, and I'm
she's
like,
your age, because
so
what does that mean?
From the start. So I'm gonna throw
I was a little offended, because what does she's your age mean?
Literally, like,
I mean, but yeah.
Yeah, so I'm older. I came into the military a little bit older. I came in at 28.
Right.
Turned 29 while I was in tech school.
Right.
Gonna be 30 this year in August.
Right.
So
y'all are still babies.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like, what does your age?
And my friend, she just turned 23.
Yeah.
22, 23. So of course,
most
of them are a little bit younger in the military, coming in at 18. But yeah, so in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't give a shit.
Right.
Like, what I like.
Apparently,
people always think in the gay community, we all want each other, and I'm just like,
hey, talk about that for a second. Come on now. Okay, so I wasn't a part of the family community right away. I feel like a little bit for my own background. In retrospect, of course, I have a different opinion, but at the time, I'll speak about that. I felt I was preyed upon a little bit, but I had a 14-year age gap between me and my significant other. So we had a huge age difference, but it was that U-Haul situation, you know?
But it's a little
and then
different.
you get around that community, and for me not being present or involved in it prior to, I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are all y'all still friends?
Okay,
like, I don't talk to my exes.
All this damn good conversation, because I cannot get these cameras working, and I want to chime in here a couple times. So hold on,
why are we all friends? Like, why are you still friends?
my first question for you guys is, okay, no holds bar right here. We open forum here.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When did you know you were gay?
Oh man. I came into the community at 18.
Right.
Prior to that, I only dated men. I was never really interested in women. I definitely found some women attractive, but because I have more feminine energy within myself, so I was more attracted to masculine energy. But I saw someone when I was also in the military. I went in at 18, and I saw someone, and it was just her energy that attracted me to her. And I still wasn't gay. And I told her multiple times. I was like, girl, I'm not gay. I just like you.
Yes.
So don't. Listen, I am not gay.
You know how many times I heard that?
I said the same thing for the longest. And I feel like it's different now because in retrospect, like now, after everything that I've gone through, and I think it was the experience that I had, I don't know if I would ever date a woman again, just because of the effects of the relationship. But I got it all the time where people are like, but you were married to a man before and you date nothing but men, so are you gay? Like my friends and family questioning, like, were you gay this whole time? Like, I'm like, no, I just fell in love with the person, and people don't understand that. And again, we shared the same thing. She was very masculine, so nothing in the relationship changed for me other than the fact that she had titties.
Literally.
Like, that's it.
Literally. But
I was with a whole man.
Yeah.
Like,
so for me, it was 18. And even still then, I still dibbed and dabbed with men.
So would you consider yourself bisexual?
No.
Okay.
And I think for me, I only dealt with men, and this will go into a conversation we can talk about later, because I think I was put on this earth to be a mother. I am such a caring person, and I really wanted a baby. Even at a young age, I just knew I wanted to be a mother. And, I had the ignorance of, the sperm banks and how, us in the community do produce children. And I did have that ignorance at a young age. So I think I still dealt with men because I knew I wanted a baby.
Yep.
But it wasn't a connection. It literally was just for sperm.
For a baby.
To be honest. And I just got tired of them because it wasn't a real connection. It really wasn't. And then maybe like around 23, 24, everybody I dated were women. And that's just what I stuck with. And I mean, and I have friends or people outside.
And so you know the term lesbian, lipstick lesbian.
Yes.
Okay. So no, school me, because I need this is why I love these conversations, because I want the real deal stuff. I want because I'm dealing with real deal. Like you guys get to give it to me straight, as opposed to what you hear, what you know. I've heard stories. I've dealt, and so I'm curious about some of these things. So what do you consider yourself a lipstick lesbian?
I don't consider myself a lesbian at all.
You don't label it. You just love.
I don't label myself.
Yes.
No, you're not judged. Just
because
love is love. Yeah. You're
fluid.
No. You're a fluid.
Oh,
okay.
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
You're not
I only date. Too far.
Okay.
I only date women.
Right.
I only date my girlfriend.
Right.
So let me say that. But I only date women. But when in the community, the term lesbian is someone who strictly only dated women.
Right.
So, we have that issue in the community still that, oh, no, you dated men, so you're a bisexual. And it's like, but I don't date men now.
Yes.
I have no interest in dating men.
That's such a good point, because I think that you can take it even just in the process of evolution of who we are as people. I was a kid when I was 12 and 13. Does that make that I'm a kid now?
Right.
Literally.
But I was a kid back then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just a good, it's like, look, you've evolved as a person. Maybe I was a dental assistant back then. That's what I was labeled as. Now I'm a photographer.
Exactly.
So what's the difference? Am I still a dental assistant?
So it's still the evolution of
yes.
it.
Go ahead. Yeah, nice. So that I want to hear
how early on you knew that you were gay.
and do you have the same? I guess answer that, but also I want to know, do you have the same precepts as her as far as what do you label yourself? Do you not label yourself? Are you a little bit different? Are you a little bit, like, give me that background too.
All right. So boom. So mine's a little bit different. I started looking at women at a very, very, very young age. Like, I'm talking about elementary school.
Okay.
Before I even knew what any of that was, before, looking at the same sex of what is this? Right. Like, why am I having these feelings? Yep. I couldn't really put into terms of what my brain was trying to let me know, like, okay, whatever. I kind of let it go and was just like, I don't know what this is.
And that is so important because sexually, so many people will say that the lesbian community, the gay community is so sexually charged. At a young age like that, you don't even know.
You don't know.
It was the same thing from
the little butterflies that you get from
holding
people hands with someone at the park.
Right.
I've never seen you a day in my life, but
I don't know what you got underneath your pants. Like, jeez, come on, guys.
Literally,
kids don't think about stuff like that. It's adults that present that
exactly
nastiness
and kind of put it out there.
You have to choose this.
Kind of like let that go for a little bit. And then once I got to middle school, I tried to kind of have like these little boy crushes, whatever. And then boys actually really started to crush on me. And I was just like, I kind of let that play out for a little bit and see where that was and how I liked it. And then they started to get a little bit too close. And I was like, all right, back it up.
Yeah. I don't like that.
Back it up.
I don't like it.
And then I kind of still had that same, I'm still looking at females, I'm getting those butterflies, or I'm starting to get that attraction. And that's where it was. And then I kind of just flipped it. And like, I've always been a tomboy, kind of like playing sports. Right. So obviously
before you came out, like, you just started to like ease into this position of dressing more like tomboy. Okay.
Like, it was a mixture of like, at that age, your parents are still buying you clothes, back to school, you're going shopping. My mom's still buying my clothes for me. But I'm still trying to associate and figure out, how am I going to turn this and make it a little masculine?
Right. Did you have the freedom or the space in your living environment as a child to be open about who you were?
So I like to be honest with,
of course,
and just kind of being blunt about stuff. Still kind of didn't really know the consequences of that at a young age.
From who? Your parents? Or
parents, and then also just from society.
Yes.
Of just back then, not really LGBT and it's not a thing really, especially at that age.
Especially in the Black community too.
Yes.
We gonna get into that.
Yes. So I, one of my best friends at the time, we kind of had a conversation about it, and I guess there was someone at my school who had liked me or thought I was attractive. And we kind of had a conversation about it, and she was like, oh, well, you're already kind of like masculine, you kind of already dress tomboyish, you should be a stud. And I was like, what is that?
What is a stud?
What? So we kind of dove into that a little bit.
So it was an introduction kind of for you.
Yeah, kind of like an introduction of just oh, it's a female who is masculine who dresses in men's clothing.
Yes.
And so I'm like, oh, cool.
I can do that?
So again, still trying to figure out how to...
So now I'm a stud.
This.
See?
Yeah, like,
you know how crazy that is? Like, now I'm a stud.
It's either very clear for people, or it's very like, it's a progressive stage.
Yeah.
Because my ex was tomboy from the start. Parents knew from the start. There were no girly clothes. There was no girly nothing.
Well, so let me ask you about that. Like, so has that been ever something in your mind where there's a transition for you? Is that you're not do you consider yourself on the edge of transgender?
No.
Okay.
And me and my mom had a conversation about this a few years ago. Because
did your parents know before you told them?
Yes. So I told my mom at the age of 13. I wrote her a note while she was in the shower. Because I did not know how this was going to go, and I was so nervous.
That I want to talk about because not a lot of people talk about that situation. Like, how brave of you at 13 years old to speak your truth.
Yeah.
And what's your nationality? Huge. What's your nationality?
I like to say that I'm black and white. My mom is black and white. So I got little parts of that white side. Okay. Her mom's side is white. Mm-hmm. So more so African American, Black, but little parts of white. Okay. Want to do that little DNA tree.
I got 3% Black in me. So.
If I got 1%, I'm saying that's what I am.
That's all you need.
But yeah, I was completely nervous. Yeah. Like, I mean, at that age, I was just like, I don't know what to expect. I'm just going to put it out there. And then, of course, I went through the whole, this is a phase.
With your parents?
Yeah, so it's just my mom.
Okay.
My dad left when I was born.
Right.
So never have really had that type of relationship with my father.
Right.
Still to this point. So it's just my mom as far as immediate parent wise.
Right.
But I've had amazing support from my mom's friends that I all call my aunties and stuff like that, and have that uncles that I have considered father figures in my life to step in.
So this conversation that you've had with your mom, you wrote the note, and did she come down and sit down with you and say this is a phase? Did she say, or did she just kind of blow it off and was like, get over it, you're gonna be
I mean, man, just trying to like think back from years.
Right.
At that age, I don't remember entirely how it went. But I just know at the start of it, it wasn't entirely all that great.
Right. So it was turmoil a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel
mean just from any parent, especially at a young age, when you're hearing your child tell you, oh, I'm attracted to the same sex, or this is who I am. You're just kind of like taken back as a parent, like,
families, either what? One of your families religious, or consider themselves in the, like, where they
yes.
Oh, not mine.
No. Okay.
Yeah, my mom's a Christian.
Okay. So did that make it more difficult for her to accept, or was that not an issue?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
That kind of played a part into, being raised in the church. And just kind of having that struggle within myself for so many years of coming out and back to this, God made you in this image. And for me, I just had so many different conversations with people growing up. Like, well, if God made me in this image, then why was I necessarily feel like I was born gay? Yes. Because at a very young age that I had no type of knowledge of what this was, or any type of experience or anything coming from a child that's, 5, 6, 7 years old that has, nothing about this. Then
it wasn't in your day-to-day.
Just know that you weren't
absorbing it from other people. It was just you were being yourself.
Like, I had no type of, I'm seeing this from TVs. Yes. I did not have gay people in my life.
Which
like,
a lot
none
of people
of that.
will say, well, you were influenced by something made you that way. No, that's not always the case. So
so I definitely struggled with that growing up in the church and having my own relationship with God, and then trying to associate, well, I don't really want to be in the church, because every time I felt like I stepped in the church, it was always conviction. Yes, it felt like it was always the pastor talking directly towards me, like he knew I was at church that day, and it had something to do with.
It's always that side eye. Can we talk to you after service?
Yeah.
What you're not going to do is that.
Exactly.
You're not going to try to.
You're not going to play. You're not going to play with me in my face. Is what you're not going to do.
No. Yeah. So that was extremely hard.
I remember there was at Pastor Al Pittman's Calvary worship, where they had a guest speaker, and this was a convert, meaning that this person was in the gay and lesbian community, and then converted back to homosexuality. Right. Am I saying that right? Okay. Yes. But he came up and he spoke. And the way he spoke was just so beautifully. I mean, regardless, because a lot of people use that, like, well, you see that, people can be transformed back. And I'm like, well, that's because they choose to then. It's just because that maybe they are attracted to both, and they just decided that they're going to live out their life like this is my thinking. But he was the one that said, when he would go into church, that he just felt so condemned and convicted. And he said, and these are the people that are supposed to be the most accepting of who you are in your circumstances, that God's going to meet you right there. And they shunned him. And the Christian community is known for shunning people. Yeah. God hates gays. God hates this. God, how do you know?
Right.
Like, if you think that you could understand the mind of God, then truly God is not God.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And so that for me is that's the whole thing. But he said there was one point where somebody actually invited him and said, hey, you know what, you are welcome here. You come here. Go, Lulu. Go on. All my dogs are always trying to come up in here. It's either Arlo that is on the couch or yes, but somebody finally said, you come and sit down here, and he said, well, where should I sit? And he said, right next to that adulterer, and right next to that liar, and right next to that, that person who does this, and steals from the. There's room for all of us right here. Yes. And I was like, damn, like, okay.
I think people just try to take away from their own skeletons in a closet because when I walk in, you can see it. Right. You could see for them, you could see what my sin is. Yeah. I walk in and you're like, oh, you're gay. Right. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Oh, da-da-da. So we're going to now point the finger at you, and that's going to take away from what I got going on, what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, we could sit here and point out all the things that you're doing wrong, and I could be living my life, according to how God is. Just the only thing that you see is just that I'm gay. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you don't know
I think
what
we have
my life story is.
Big surprise coming to us in the end when all these Pharisees are sitting up there pointing their finger and saying, you're going to hell. So you become the judge, the executioner, the jury, like you're all of the above. And when he says, at the end, 3 things are going to remain: faith, hope, and love. He said, and the greatest of these is love. Yeah. So how did you love?
Exactly.
Right. At the end of the day, how did you love? Did you love or were you hateful?
Well, and that was the conversation that I had with my mom, because it was crazy because the decision for me was not hard. Like, I didn't care about being out in public. Hello. I did not care. Like, I was in love with this person, and I wanted to share it with my family. So was I scared to have the conversation with my mom? 100%. But I wasn't scared about the outcome, because either she was going to accept it or not. Yeah. I was still going to move how I wanted to. Mm-hmm. I'm a grown adult. She pulled the Bible out and threw it at me and told me to get the fuck out of her house, and she wanted absolutely nothing to do with me. And I got on the phone and I was like, she hates me. She's never going to me again. And my ex at the time was just like, you have to allow her to absorb it the way she absorbs it. I don't ever want to presently come into somebody's life and make them feel like they have to choose to like me. Yes. Mm-hmm. She's going to come to that decision on her own. Yep. And to see my mom's hard shell kind of start to crack when she got to be around her was everything. Like, that was a great time in me and my mom's relationship, because not only were you being open to me,
because she was feeling love from an individual that she judged so heavily.
That's what I told her. I said, before I sat down, like, the conviction that went on in my heart for even entertaining the situation was hard, because I grew up in the church, and I'm like, well, I'm going to go to hell now that I have this decision. So I was in a constant turmoil for like 2 weeks talking to God. Like, if this is not meant for me, please remove it. If this is not supposed to be what you want for my path, get rid of it, Lord. And every single day, something else came up. The people that I worked with lived next door to her. It was just too many coincidences for me to keep continuing to ignore it. So I was like, you know what, God, if this is what you want me to do,
say less.
I am just going to take it day by day and absorb it. So when it came up to that moment to tell my mom and her to have that reaction, and then her to have the reaction to then put it off on something else. Are you doing this because of what happened between you and your brother? No. My molestation in my past has absolutely nothing for me choosing somebody that I love regardless. I don't care about their gender. I just know I love this person and I want to see what happens with it. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. So for me, mine was a lot different. Yeah, because I didn't tell my mom. But
she wasn't. You said she wasn't religious.
But the crazy thing was, the person I was dating at the time was also the person I actually was dating was my high school sweetheart.
Right.
And if you somehow, some way see this, I don't care, because
we don't care,
because he had no right to tell my mom that I was leaving him for a female.
That's nasty.
Because I was very respectful, at least to tell you that I think that we should stop this. Yeah. But I said that because we both decided to join the army, the service, and not all the time will you go to the same place.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I know that I cannot do long distance.
Yeah.
Unless there's a time frame on it, I cannot do long distance. And I know that for myself. Right. So I didn't want that, for us to be in 2 different locations. So I decided to end things, and in his eyes, I left him for a female, and he told my mom and my sister.
His ego was bruised.
And men get so bitter in those situations.
So then my mom called me, and she left me a voicemail because I was in school that night. And she left me a voicemail, and it wasn't the best. It was, oh, you let, these girls in the Army turn you out, and you're not really gay, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I was in a dorm, the barracks with 60 females, and I've not looked at neither one of them because it wasn't that.
I don't like feminine women.
So when I called her back and we had that conversation, I let her know, I don't care.
Yeah.
I want to say what I really said, but, I don't give a goddamn, Mom. Like, I am no longer in your house. I do not have to follow your rules because that's the stipulation in the Black household that if you're under my house, it's my rules.
It's not just the Black household, it's the Mexican household too. I'm like, boy, you are I don't care if you're 22 years old. I don't care if you're 23. You get home, your ass at the channel.
It was all of that, and I had to let her know, I don't care. Your opinion be your opinion. I don't care. I don't have to talk to you. Yeah. And we did not talk for several months.
Yeah.
And I didn't care. But she would call my sister and then ask my sister about me because my sister would tell me. Yeah. We all gossip. That's where I get it from my mom. We all gossip. So she'll call my sister. My sister will call me.
What's she really doing over there?
And it took her some time to accept it, but I told her, I don't care if you accept it. Like I told anybody else, I don't care if you accept it. That is the least of my concerns. I don't believe in coming out. So that was one thing I wanted to also bring up. The whole coming out, you don't have to come out because no one comes out and say, hey, I'm heterosexual.
Right.
So I don't have to come out the closet to say, hey, I'm homosexual.
It's about the shame underneath behind it. It's about the shame and I think it has to do with a lot of different eras. Like that's one of the things that I did learn, being in that 14-year age gap, being around them and what they experienced at my age, that there was, they had their small niche community in Baltimore and that was it. And they thrived around each other, and when it was time for them to come out, it was like the rid of the shame type of thing. So I think it's generation,
because it's a real deal guilt. It's a real, especially when you come into, so if you come from, which I love the way that you think. That's like, I had to learn to get to that point in my life where I was just like, I don't give two about what you think about me. Not everybody's gonna like me. Okay,
not literally.
I always tell people, you will walk into a room with 100 people, you will have 100 different opinions of who you are, who they think you are. You know what I mean? So why try to cater to every single one of those? You're not gonna be able to. You either like me or you don't, and if you don't, then that's quite all right. You know what I mean?
Exactly. There are more than 1 billion people in this world for you to like. We do not have to be friends. We do not have to associate with each other. Long as there's a mutual respect for a person. Person to person, we will be perfectly fine.
But on the other spectrum, respectfully, there is this community that has like, I believe that, I believe one of my uncles is gay and still hasn't said anything about it because they grew up in such a religious
mentality
Catholic home, and that was just not acceptable at that point. Like that was just not, and I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't know.
Well, and then I've met a lot of, like I said, that age difference. I mean, some of the people that we were hanging out with were in their 50s and 60s, and these women have been lesbians for a long time. So they don't like flamboyant gays.
But not only that,
they see it as straight up disrespect.
Yes.
I've had to sit and absorb my life in this community. Like, don't come in and be disrespectful and be flamboyant and take away from the effort that I've had to put in to live my life, which I get it, but it was so different.
But that's also the thing, is that there's so much judgment.
Yes.
It's so widely acceptable for women to be gay and not men.
Yeah, talk about that.
I honestly could care less. Yeah. I grew up at a very young age being around transgenders.
Yes.
So I don't look at them any other way. Yeah. I've been to queen pageants before in Miami, in Homestead. Yes. I've been to it in North Miami because that's what one of my aunties, who was born a male and decided that that's not the person that she wanted to be. Yep. She changed her name and everything. And she told everybody, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I think it was so funny that she was more successful as a queen. I mean, she was doing some stuff she had no business, back in the day. If you knew what a BBL was before it was a BBL and the doctors, But she was so much more loving. I was there every summer. Yeah. And that's the only place I wanted to be. Yeah. Every single summer. Yeah. Around someone who was born a man, who wore makeup, who wore wigs, who went to pageants, who did all these things. And that I had so much love there than I did at school. Yep. My other side of the family.
It is true acceptance in family, 100%. Yeah. I experienced that the first time I went to one of the first balls that I went to in Baltimore, and I was like, this is insane. Like, just not from a disrespectful standpoint, but being so sheltered in Colorado, going to a place like Baltimore and seeing a guy come off the street that looks like a regular ass corner boy, like just finished selling and came out that bathroom and was walking better in heels than I was.
Exactly.
I said, you come and live your life, boo. I support it and appreciate you. But it's a shock because you get so conformed around what you think is appropriate, what you think things are supposed to look like.
So a good girlfriend of mine, a really, really close girlfriend of mine, she started working with me when I was at the in the dental field. I was the office manager, and she sat right by me, and there was something about her that I just loved, absolutely loved. Her energy was just so sweet. Her spirit was so sweet. Yeah. She had the essence of sweetness that just surrounded her. And she sat next to me, and I feel like always like I'm the one that corrupted her. Like she got her first tattoo, her first nose ring. Like she was Christian, like grew up Christian, yeah. You know, and also Mexican family with the Mexican family was like blood is blood. Like you outside the blood, then you ain't blood. Like you're out, you know. And I never conformed to that with my family because I saw my families get together during Christmas and funerals, and everybody acted like they love each other, and then you don't see them for like another whole year. Yeah. I'm like, what is this?
Until the next holiday, the next year.
And they would talk about, well, blood is blood. I'm like, well, my friends are like, you know. But anyways, her sister is gay. Yeah. And her cousin is gay, who she's very, very close to. And I said, well, how was that? You know, growing up so strict like that with that mentality. And she said, you know, she goes, I was just as judgmental as the next person. She says, I'm going to be straight up. She says, I was. And she goes, it wasn't until I fell personally into a very, very deep depression when not one person from the church came to see me. Not one person came to the church from the church to help me out and get through what I was going through. She says, but it was my sister and her girlfriend that were there at the door every single day helping me through this depression, pick me back up. She goes, and that was the love of God that I saw through those two individuals. She goes, not the people that were in the church. Damn. Like that's real deal. You know what I mean? At the end, the greatest of this will be love. Yes. How are you loving?
Yes. That's what it boils down to at the end of the day. That's what I told my mom. I said, I'm just going to let you know right now. I said, if you would just open your heart just a little bit. You don't have to agree with it.
Exactly.
You don't have to agree with it. We can agree to disagree. But if you are willing to see her just as the person she is, you will understand why I love this person. And they became best friends and was talking more than I was talking to my mom. Coming in
That's
the house
how it always
who are you talking
is.
to? Your mom? What? I dropped money off to your mom. Why are you talking to my mom all the time?
That's crazy though. So you kind of mentioned that, you know, being a gay man or being a gay woman, they have different, you said that it's more acceptable to be a woman and be a lesbian than it is for a man to be gay. Talk a little bit more about that, because, you know, one of the big things that I saw, and just recently, you know, on some of these shows like Empire and Empowered, like where they're actually starting to show Black individuals, being portrayed as gay, where, you know, they showed white men a long time ago, like they did. But there is there's something in the Black community as well that is very shunned with the gay community. Yes. So talk to me about that.
So, you know, like some of the things that I see, even just on social media, as a woman, as a female who is gay, and, you know, in shows, that's, you know, we can go there, for example, in shows, when you have two females kissing, it's just like, oh, it's whatever. But as soon as you see two males kissing, regardless of race, ethnicity, whatever the case may be, it's that we are trying to persuade children. Although it's an adult show, we're trying to persuade children to be gay. When you see two males holding hands, when you see two males who are parents, it's always, oh, they're going to corrupt that child. But then when you see two women doing it, it's thought of as, you know, a threesome with a male and two females.
Yeah.
When it's a male and two females, it's okay. But when it's two males and a female,
it's wrong.
It's wrong.
And that kind of goes back into that whole polygamy content, you know, that content that we were going to get into, where
but
a man can have multiple wives, but let a woman have multiple husbands.
Can I bring somebody home?
You know, but it's definitely, you know, I have, you know, gay male friends, and I don't.
Just by the way, can I just say something on that really quick? I really, really am looking for a gay best friend.
I need to introduce you to Ro.
Because I had one when I worked at the Citadel Mall, and I loved him. Oh my God, he was the best thing in the world. And my Reina, she has Adam. Well, shout out Adam, who you know, I also love just by meeting him. But gay men are phenomenal. I love gay men.
Well, and I didn't really realize how I was judging.
Some of them are queens, like crazy, like bitches. Like they are bitches. Like
I have one. I'm gonna bring him to come see you. I'm gonna bring him to come see you. He is. Baby Nasir, he is amazing.
I love the energy between both of them. Like I love that it's a male, and then I love that, but they have the femininity. I love that they ain't checking me out. Like I love that I can have a relationship, you know, close to. I don't know. There's something about it, and so I'm always like, when I see these women with like gay men best friends, I'm like, oh, I hate you. I want one. Like, I want a gay best friend.
When I met my friend Roheen, he is.
Got to get out there.
Shout out Roro. Shout out to Roro. He is.
Go to the gay bar.
He is an Olympic figure skater. He trains for the U.S. Olympics. He is an amazing person inside and out. He looks just like Prince. But I didn't realize how I was judging gay men in the community until I got checked by him. And it was, you know, it started off little where, you know, he is very much a femme, but he is also still very masculine. He refuses to shave his beard. He wears makeup to a certain extent. He's very much adamant about wearing heels, but he still looks like a man. So we would always try to go out downtown or to the mansion. If he had like a see-through top on, like a see-through button up and maybe some leggings and some heels on, because they could see his nipples, they wouldn't allow him to go into the club. I remember one night we all went out as a group, and he was dressed up very feminine. Still had his facial hair, but we got into a blatant argument with the owner of the mansion because they would not allow him to use the female restroom. And I said, well, this really kind of pisses me off. So you want him to go in the male's restroom like that and to be able to defend himself when half the females in this bathroom don't give a shit about how he looks. You're going to create a problem instantly because it doesn't aesthetically look like in your environment.
Exactly.
Fuck you guys. And I'm out.
Exactly.
To the point where they started spitefully picking and choosing based off of his outfits, who they let in, and how he was dressed. To the point where we stopped going for a while.
Yeah, because we had that issue with my friend. Not who I'm going to bring. He would sometimes, when he dresses feminine, you will never know. Yeah, he makes it, and he still goes by he, and he makes it known that I am a man. Yes, and I am a gay man. And I am a bad bitch. You're right. Any day of the week with whatever I'm wearing. But we went to a mansion, you know, as well. And what he was wearing, no nipples were showing, you know. It was just really nice tights, you know, and just all around nice. Yeah. Nothing that would, you know, what I think would throw anybody off. And they did not let him in. And we got into it with the bouncers, and you know the cops were out there. Cops were called. We came from a different club, so we didn't give a fuck. At that point, we did not care.
You about to meet my hood?
We did not care at that point, because I'm like, you have, you know, women who will be in here with little to nothing on, and I mean black out drunk. I'm pretty sure I've saved a lot of women from being assaulted. In mansion.
Wow.
Because of what they were wearing, how they were dressed, and how drunk they were, and that they were still serving them.
And you're okay with letting them in.
Still serving them. As a bartender, you're still serving someone who is falling over.
Wow.
That is ridiculous. Yeah. But you will not let someone come in because of how they were dressed. And I haven't been there since then. It's been, you know, a while. I haven't been there since then. Because I also the last time I went, I had a masculine friend. Yes. Who had on red Timberlands. Yeah. And they told her no, that she could not come in. They said it was because she had one color Timbs on, and that will signify that she was a gang member. And I was like, in Colorado Springs,
ain't no blood.
Yeah,
okay. First of all,
I always tell people that.
I
my husband is from Bakersfield, California, but it's close to LA. But where his dad grew up was hood. No, that was the first time when I walked there, I was like, oh, this is what you see on TV. This is hookers. There was the lady came knocking on the door with some meat and a purse to sell. And I was like, oh my God. And so then when I got back to Colorado Springs, I'm like, this is not, we are not gangster over here. We're come on, guys.
At all. And ain't nobody coming to the mansion in no red Timbs.
Exactly.
So that's just
so go back as well then. So what do you think as far as being gay and Black, what have you guys had to deal with that? Or have you?
No, we can answer.
That's a loaded question.
We could go for days.
I mean, I feel like.
Do you still feel within the Black community
is sir or been mistaken for a dude? You could tell just more on the masculine side, and then two, my voice is deeper than a regular female's voice would be, so automatically they're just like, oh, hey, sir, and just having to come to terms with just at first wanting to be that angry Black person. To just be like, I'm a fucking female. You know what I'm saying? But then kind of getting to a point where, I don't know, it just didn't bother me anymore.
Do you feel that that's generalized, or do you feel like that comes from the Black community?
I think it's generalized only by appearance. Because I know when we started, we asked about labels. Mm-hmm. I know that, and it's not in all, I would say races or, anything of that nature, but within the Black community, they feel like we have to say if I am a femme or a stud. Mm-hmm. So a feminine female or a stud. Mm-hmm. And then in this community, because versus the white community, a stud is a handsome man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Versus in the Black community, in the gay community, a stud is a masculine female who dates women and women only. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to that, it's always you have to choose a side. Mm-hmm. Are you a feminine or are you masculine? Mm-hmm. I have friends who are gender fluid. Yes. My sister is gender fluid. Right. And you will never know. Yeah. One day she's dating another gender fluid person. Next month she's dating somebody else. And it's like,
make up your mind what you want to do.
I'm like, bring me one person and leave it. But that is, one of the things that we have to deal with, that you have to choose. Mm-hmm. And even with coming with family, it's, you have to choose who you come around. And I am not like that. I had someone I was dating someone who would not bring me around their grandmother. And I was like, well, then I don't want to come around at all. Yeah. And I don't have to be around at all. Mm-hmm. Because
you want to hide.
Yes. Yeah. Because my family knows, all of them know, regardless of the fact you're either going to accept me or you're not. Girl, I'm flying out to you anyways. I'm spending my money to fly to my family events. Mm-hmm. But I don't care what you got to say. But I've always been that kind of person. Mm-hmm. As a young kid, I was always the one who was disrespectful because I always said something back. You're not going to whoop me for no reason.
Dang,
I didn't do anything. Because my cousin broke something. I got to get spanked.
Like, let's talk about this, okay? She was that kid that was, did you see
I'm like, Grandma,
she was like, look, I don't have time for this.
Linda,
I don't have time for this.
And it's crazy because that's my grandmother's name. And I was like, Linda. Linda. But I didn't do anything.
It is true, because I remember being introduced into the community the first go around. It was very much I had to choose. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you're not gay. Yeah. So what are you doing here? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm like, look, I don't want no beef.
My bad.
I don't want no problems. I'm not coming in to disrupt anybody's flow or function of friendship. Like, I'm here for this person, and that's it. Yeah. I don't care about none of the extra. But it was very much judgmental. I mean, I could tell that. And I also want to ask you guys, do you guys feel like you get judged by gay men outside of the African American community? Because I felt it strong. Like the first time I went to, and I'm going to say, I love it. I love that place. I support it. Club Q. But when we would come on certain nights, like they wouldn't serve me and my partner.
What?
Like blatantly. Like if we were there on boys' night, no.
You know, I've never been on boys' night, so I for me, I would say no.
Right.
I've always gotten from, you know, gay men.
Right.
They always just like praise me.
Right.
Oh my God, you are so beautiful, and you know,
I've gotten the opposite. I've gotten like,
crazy.
stank bitch. What are you doing? Who are you here with? Get out of my face.
Now, I would say Club Q is definitely a more male dominant place.
Yes.
So I can definitely see why. I've never been on male night, so I don't know.
I was like expecting that we was all gonna have a great time, but I'm not here for you.
This is our space to be.
Our community, our space to feel safe. And then when I got that opposite, and she explained it to me, she was like, "That's normal. That's a fucking queen. That's why." Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just like, that's nice. Nasty.
Some of them are mean.
Taking away their shine.
Yeah. Oh, you remember when we went to that other convention and she was like, yeah, she said, that dude right there, he's gay and he's a mean bitch.
So you could tell that's a fucking queen from a mile away.
Yeah. Just but why though? Like, dude, even that's like, why you gotta be so mean? Like, you know, but so let me ask you guys, as we're getting to our point here. So what piece of advice, first and foremost, would you guys each individually give? Okay, so to somebody that is struggling right now, you know what I mean? To somebody that, and on second portion of that, what I want to ask you is also, what can we learn from being gay, being Black, and the community that you guys have had to, you know, because you said you go on for days with stories, and that to me is heartbreaking in many ways. What can we learn, or what can we teach somebody, or what can we, you know, because I always feel like half of the time when people are making a decision, it's just because it's different and they don't understand different. So different is bad in their eyes. We learned, you know, and I learned, I had to kind of check myself on the way that I was doing photo shoots, because I was taught in a way that when I pose women, you pose them in flattering poses. You know, you pose them in a way that's going to flatter their body. And that's how I photographed. And we went to a convention, and this girl, and she's, you know, maybe, you know, 250 pound photographer. And she basically put in front of us the whole bunch of Disney characters. And she said, look at, you know, Cinderella, look at, you know, the Sleeping Beauty, look at all of these people. This is what, as a young generation, what we're taught is beautiful. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now let's look at Ursula, and let's look at, you know, the Queen of Hearts. This was bad, and this is what it looked like. This was different. And so being obese in our eyes was, this is different. That's evil. Bad. That's not pretty. And we came to understand that this is the way we learned. And I was mind blown by that. And I cried during that class, because I was like, you know, this whole time I've been in, and she basically said, why do you pose? Like, what she put naked pictures of herself on the board, and she said, tell me which pose looks better. Well, all the photographers were like, that one. The one person that wanted the A in the class was like, that one. But if you're being honest, and I'm just being real. I'm just being 100%, like, let's be real. That looks more prettier. Yeah. But she said, to who and why? Yeah. And who told you that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who told you that looked prettier?
Who said that woman didn't want to showcase?
Exactly. Right. Who said that she wasn't so comfortable with everything that was about her that she needed to be posed in a different manner? And boy, it shook me. I was like, damn, like, have I even given these women the opportunity to say, do you feel, you know, are you 100% comfortable and love the skin that you're in? And if so, then I want to showcase all of it. You know what I mean? As opposed to me just assuming that they're not. And so I'm going to put you in the pose that I think is most flattering for you, you know? And so what I was able to take from that was, look, you can never assume anything. You know what I mean? You cannot assume that just because this might look flattering or whatever you were taught, that they are 100% comfortable with everything that they are, you know? Yep. And so I just want to know, what piece of advice would you give to the people that are naive? They don't understand. They were taught a different way. You know, it looks different, and so different may be bad. Like, give me some a piece of advice to your community, to people that with kids, even, you know, to little ones that might be struggling, that they grow up in a Christian home right now and they're scared.
I mean, I would honestly just say living your truth. I know it's easier said than done. But along the years, I started to tell myself, live unapologetically, be yourself. And with that, I started to say, I don't give a shit. I don't care what the next person thinks. I don't care how you think I should walk in my truth, because you're not in my position and you're not in my shoes. You have your own truth. You have your own destiny to walk. So I'm going to do what I feel is necessarily right for me. And I'm going to live the truth that I feel I'm supposed to live. I always tell people, like, when they feel like they have an opinion on the shit that I do, I'm like, you don't pay my fucking bills. I don't come home to you. So your opinion is your opinion. Now for somebody who is, dealing with figuring out themselves and figuring out their sexuality and kind of having those parents or growing up in that lifestyle where they really struggle and they don't know, what to do. It's a little bit harder to say, well, you don't pay my fucking bills, because your parents might still pay your bills. They do. You know what I'm saying? So you can't be at your parent at, 15 years old talking about, well, you don't pay my fucking bills and I don't come home to you. Actually, I do. But even still in that, just you're not going to be in the position that you're in for long. You're not going to be the age that you're in for long. You are eventually going to be this beautiful person that you're supposed to be, and you're going to eventually mature into the age and the person that you need to be. So not to be disrespectful to your parents, but if your parents do not agree with the lifestyle that you are, then there have been so many people who have been kicked out and who didn't have nowhere to go. And so many different stories that I have seen with just celebrities who have been homeless and who are now where they're at,
and now the parents are like, I'm sorry.
Come back. You're making all this money. Like, no, you didn't want to accept me for who I was, and you didn't see who I was and truly see that. And so don't be afraid to be alone for a while, to figure that out, because so many people are afraid to be alone and they don't have that circle. But trust me, you will find that community. You will find the people who do love you and who will support you and who will uplift you. And through that, you will be more comfortable to be who you truly are meant to be. So that's like truly just my advice. Just really start to live for you, and be unapologetic of who you are. Like, don't let other people form their opinions onto you and feel like you have to live this type of lifestyle because they do that. And I always just stick with that mindset. I don't come home to you. You know why
I say that all the time. I'm like, look, if it don't affect your family, it don't affect your bills, then too damn bad. Then I don't give a shit what you got to say. Like, you ain't affecting this. But I also love that you said, and I heard it on someplace else. First and foremost, this too shall pass. Yes. And we have to always remember that if you can think to date, all of the situations that you've been in your life, all of the things that brought you to your knees, all of the things that made your stomach hurt, that you were like, oh my God, my world is ending, and you got through it, know that there's another side. There's always going to be that come out of. Do you know what I mean? There's always going to be, you're going to be okay. This too will, and I love that. Look, it's going to get better. I know it feels right now at this time like, hey, I don't know what to do. I don't know. But you're going to get through it. And we can all attest to something we've been through.
Truly believe in yourself. I mean, whatever you envision for your life, stick with that and truly believe in that, because no one else is going to believe in the vision that you have more than you are. So if you let other people take that away from you, then you are going to get to that point where you might hit a rock bottom depression and say, I'm never going to make it. I'm never going to amount to anything. I'm never going to do anything with my life. Even if the vision that you have, no matter what it is, to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, to be a photographer, to be whatever it is that you want to be, an artist, you have to truly believe in yourself, because people can see the bullshit. If you try to present this to yourself and be like, this is what I'm going to do with my life, and then somebody looks at you and be like, no, and you take that and run with it, then you're not. Because you're letting other people define what you're going to do with your life. So you truly have to be like, well, no. Like I always say that everyone else, you can say no's, but God is going to be the only person who opens up a door for me. So it might be a no for you because you don't see what I truly see, but I'm going to continue to believe in myself, and God's going to open that door for me whenever I'm supposed to get
she's
there.
Looking at her. She's just like, I like looking at her because she's like, okay, good.
Like I have had so many positions before I joined the military where I was in leadership positions, and other people would try to be like, I'm gonna be a kiss ass. I'm gonna to show this manager that I want to be a supervisor. And I've always done the opposite. I always kind of hid in a corner. I'm just going to do my fucking job. I'm going to come here. I'm going to clock in. I'm going to do the best. And every job that I've had, I've always almost been a supervisor or a leader in some aspect, because this is me. I'm going to do what I do, and God's going to give me that when and
Are you a Capricorn?
when I'm supposed to be. No.
Oh. No. Not everybody is a Capricorn.
No. Most of the leaders are.
No.
So, believe it or not, people are watching you, even if you think people are not watching you.
Yes.
People are always watching you, and you know, you never know. Like, just do you work hard, grind, have that discipline, have that dedication, and when it's your time, like, what is meant for you is already yours. Like,
Drop
I always say that
mic
too.
on that one.
I always speak that too. Like, I
drop.
always tell people that, like, well, if that was not for me, then that was not for me. But what is meant for me has already been mine. Mm-hmm. So I just have to walk in that tree and get there.
It's already there. Yep. What about you, Miss Erica?
I would say that, you know, especially for the younger generation, the younger kids, sometimes the people who gave birth to you are not meant to be the ones who raise you. And it is perfectly fine. You know, we have a very struggling system right now. Prior to where I am now in massage therapy school, I was going to school for social work, and that was a passion, because we all know there's no money in that. It was a passion to wake up and to want to help those children, you know, because there are shitty people in this world. Everyone will not agree with your decision of your sexuality, whether you want to be androgynous, gay, lesbian, bi, whatever the case. No one will agree with it. They probably won't, and it's okay. You know, like she said, if you're still under your parents' roof, sometimes it is hard to just suck it up. You know, it is, but you have to know that you have to work towards getting to where you want to be. And then for, you know, those who are of age, taking care of yourself, fuck them.
Yeah.
You know, I am one, you know, I've always said, if you don't do the 3 F's for me, I don't care. If you don't feed, finance, and or the other F, I don't care. That's the 3 F's, you know, and just know that there are better days. You know, if it is easier said than done to say, you know, you can get through it. It shall pass. Yeah. Because like for me, I need a timeline. Yes. When will it pass? You know, I need to know. I need to know, because I need to look forward to it. Because, you know, the one thing that we live in is this your last straw? Everything for us is this your last straw? And that makes us realize that no, it's not. Right. You know, we have something that we want to work towards, and this will not be our last straw. Yeah. You know, we don't just let things happen. Right.
I love that. That's such a good
We literally would be like having disagreements, or we would do different things, and we didn't realize to each other that, why are you so aggressive? Right. Like, why are you so angry right now? And you didn't play in the factors of, how did work go? How did this go? How did that go? And so for us, we just kind of had that, is this your last straw? Right. I hit my fucking toe on the bed, and I'm just
this is my last straw.
Everything that she's like, is this your last straw?
Walk away now. Walk away.
That every time you are going through something, your pants, your purse, your jacket gets caught on the door handle, and it's just like, is this my last straw? And something is telling you to calm down. Just stop for a second. You know, and we always look at the negatives in the day and never that one thing that was good. So, you know, we live that, you know,
I love that accountability.
What's the good thing that happened? Not always the negatives. And, you know, honestly, you will meet family who,
like I said, I was coming in.
You will meet that family who is not blood related, who will love you so much more than your family does.
I met my family.
You know, and
my family.
And then for those who don't agree with it, it is what it is, because while you're steady sitting here protecting that pedophile in the family, or you're protecting that rapist, that molester in the family, you are shunning the person who has been just, you know, God sent and has been nothing but good. They just still happen to be gay.
I love it. Well, you guys, thank you for those gems. You guys that took that last like 10 minutes and was like, boom, here you go. I love that. So thank you guys for being open, honest, transparent, real, raw, and authentic.
Yes, ma'am.
During this, and we may have a part 2 because, we always want to leave it open. You might see Nye a little bit more around, so just keep in mind.
I always say don't try to figure out the when.
Yeah.
Don't like.
The how, the when. Yes.
So for my life, I have this whole vision that even with the both of us, we have this whole vision that we want to be wealthy, we want to be successful, we want to make our own hours, have our own business, travel when we want to travel, and not have people tell us when and where we cannot go. Yeah. So I have this whole vision of what I want to do, but I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know the steps that are going to take place into this vision that I have for my life. Yeah. So don't get so consumed in worrying about the when, the how, and all of that. I even said for my photography and hopefully you will become a role model for me.
Get ready.
But so I always...
We call this the lighthouse.
I always had this
comes for
vision of wanting to run a marathon and not training for it. I want to get up in 26
that's a whole podcast.
Literally. And
that's good stuff.
Would literally have a camera, but my brain process would be but I don't have a computer to edit my work on. I don't have lighting. I don't have this. I don't have that. All I have is a computer. And I never stop to think, well, if you don't do what you can do now with that computer, you're never going to get to where you need to be to get all this equipment that you have. So take the baby steps and
this
take
didn't
that
start out
and
like
run.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that we all lose that somehow, that we don't consider okay, well, how I'm going to get there? Right. Okay, but I just need this, and this. Yes. So I'm going to just go get a credit card and I'm going to just get bankrupt now and I'm going to get all of this stuff and then I'm going to just take off.
Don't
and
get
then
me started. That's you guys, we're going to be talking next week about money and finance and business. And we're going to be talking about a lot of that. No, I just, you might see Naya around a little bit more in the studio since she is being, she's thinking about being an aspiring photographer. And so I've invited her to come on to shoots and just kind of shadow. Yes. And so you may be seeing her around. You may see Erica as well up in the studio, who is just finishing up or almost finishing up with her degree for masseuse, right? Massage therapist. So we would love to implement all. We are the type of family that we love to implement. Everybody, where can you fit in? Let's make this work together. Yes. And so that's that. Yes. We are out, guys. Until next time, check us out. This will be out soon. I'll let you guys know too. But let's jam out, Whitney. You guys can hear. You guys can hear. Can you hear?
What between the sheets? What?
That's nice.
What between the sheets?
Between the sheets.
Thank you, guys. We lost that camera at the end.